on making a career choice as females, it's wise to choose a specialty where you have time for yourself, family, and your patients. So we all grew up in contact with the traditional GP, the general practitioner, the family doctor. The parents who are here will know what I'm speaking about because things have changed so much over the years. We used to have a family GP when I was growing up. Our family doctor, the parents and patients would have real trust and faith, sometimes terrifying the children who will think of this person as the needle monster coming to give an injection at home. As a child, I remember some of the older doctors actually delivering babies, caring for children. They were like everything to us, tended to our grandparents. And that respected doctor was always there and would come out to our homes. We'd be in awe at these life-giving, I don't know about you all, but I was always in awe at a doctor who would be coming out to give all these life-saving methods. They're life-givers. They were dressed in white. They had these little black bags. They were filled with all these strange smelling stuff, little vials, little pills. You know, as a child, I always wanted to be a doctor. I don't think I had any doubt in my mind that I wanted to be a doctor. That was my passion, and that's what I went after. And that's what you have to know. You have to know what you want. So you have to check around. You have to see what it is that you would desire to do. Now medicine's moved into a new age. You have machines that make diagnosis for you. You have subspecialties. And the new age doctor could be on a computer. It's not how it is now. You can go on a computer. You can do robotic medicine. You can operate if you're into technology and computers. You could actually operate with a robot from long distance. There are over 50 to 60 specialties in medicine. You have a lot to choose from. And each one of these specialties has different types of doctors. So there's a host that you can choose from. It does not have to be obstetrics and gynecology. Some fields require long hours, sometimes difficult to manage on family demands and career. But with all the options available, one can choose your own specialty with less demands, less call out, more amenable working hours, research, etc., and depending on what kind of salary you're looking for. Some data in the US shows that there are fields which have more females than males. And again, I'm sorry for the size, but I can just tell you at the top of the list there is actually obstetrics and gynecology, which is interesting. In the US again, entry into the University of the West Indies, we find about 70% of the children are females and the rest are males. Well, that's probably because the girl's brighter anyway, but right. So at the top of the list there we have obstetrics and gynecology for those who can't see it, and pediatrics heading at 50% with most female physicians. Again, it's your choice. Half of all the obstetrics and gynecologists and pediatricians are women here. In family medicine and internal medicine, about a third of the physicians are women. And in fact, women still tend to choose non-surgical specialties, with fewest women behind in urology. Urology is a sought-after field that I don't think in Trinidad we have any women at all. We're now starting to see women training in urology. Is the opposite of gynecology. That is a specialty where we deal with the men and their problems as opposed to the women and their problems. So that may be something you can look at as well. Yes, a little bit embarrassing too. So we have many choices, and the demands we have depends on the personal life we choose. I wanted both a family and a career. I knew what I wanted. So what happened? I went to Jamaica. So in addition to coming back home with an MBBS degree, oopsie daisy. I'll just continue while I fix in view of the timing. In addition to me getting my MBBS degree, which is the Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery, I also met my husband, Dr. Varma Singh, and I must say he gives me tremendous support. And this is important as well if you want both a career and a family life. He understands what my job entails, my responsibilities. I understand his. We share up the work, we share up the children's time. He goes the extra mile to make my career a success. And No, ladies, don't look so alarmed. If your daughter go to study medicine and come back with her husband too, but it worked for me. I didn't get married till 9 years later because I was waiting to graduate and specialize, etc. Then God blessed me with 3 of my beautiful children. My big son, Vinash. Then 9 years later, I had twins, Vivek and Varan. They're doing SCA this year, so I'm under some serious pressure right now. And I wanted to build my clientele. This is my choice. So I wanted to build my clientele, which was empowering patients in my practice. My children now assist me. They understand me as well. So I would have somebody in labor, and they will hear, okay, mommy has to go. And you have one waiting with the car keys by the door, the other one making sure my shoe is on, my husband opening the door to make sure I get outside, and calling to make sure, okay, I'm safe. And we have a nice thing going, and that's what you need to have if you want to have good support in your practice. So I did my MBBS. This is how I did it, in Jamaica and then in Trinidad. Then I pursued a diploma in obstetrics and gynecology in Barbados. Then I did my doctorate in medicine in obstetrics and gynecology in Jamaica. That's what you call an exit exam from Jamaica. When you come out of that, it becomes a specialist degree and you can practice immediately as a specialist. And that is now available as a DM program in Trinidad, amongst other specialties, which I will mention to you, so you'll know your choices if you don't want to leave Trinidad and Tobago. After that, I received a fellowship at the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology. That's what the FACOG means on my title. And then the MDW stands for the Medal for the Development of Women, which I received an award, the gold medal, in 2015 from the Trinidad and Tobago. So if you take 5 years to get your first degree, you can leave out the 1 year that I did in the diploma and go straight into the 4-year program. So you have 5 years of the MBBS, and if you want to specialize, or if you want to stay as a general practitioner, that's fine as well. You go straight into a 4-year program in the DM, which you can do in Trinidad, and you become a specialist obstetrician gynecologist. So at UB, we have some of the other specialties you can do in Trinidad. You have surgery, internal medicine, orthopedics, pediatrics, which is dealing with children. I saw Dr. Lutchman here, she can tell you about that one. Anesthetics, ear, nose and throat, psychiatry, radiology, which is a good field for women if you don't want to get called out in the night. Radiology is a good field, dermatology is a good field. They don't offer dermatology in Trinidad. Then you have other related medical specialties, veterinary medicine, pharmacology, dentistry, optometry, and nursing. You can't limit yourselves to what exists in Trinidad only. So this is a long list of specialties. They also have a huge list out there that you can choose from, and you can check it out yourself. It's just so much to mention. The audiology is starting to become a big thing. And all these are related to medicine, but these are not available in Trinidad and Tobago. So you have to seek help elsewhere to specialize. You can do your MBBS here, and then you can step out to go further. So the whole list: cardiology, dermatology. Dermatology, as I said, is a nice field for female. Endocrinology. I can't go through the whole list. It's just too many specialties, but I can leave the information for you if you wish. Microbiologists, neonatologists, neurosurgeons, oncologists, cancer specialists. It's an important field now. Ear, nose and throat we have available here. You can do that away as well. Parasitology, pediatrics. I'm just skipping through and running through a little bit here. Podiatrist. Okay, I think I've spoken enough about all that's available. It just goes on and on and on. So, presently, this is what occurs when you graduate in Trinidad and Tobago. You qualify as a doctor with an MBBS. You get employed in the hospital as an intern. You start getting your salary as an intern. Okay, it's not much. It's about $12,000 a month. That's plenty of money to that. And after this period of training, which is 2 years, you get fully registered. So you get a provisional license as a doctor in the country. And then you get fully registered as a doctor with the medical board after that, which becomes now the house officer stage. These young doctors are often employed as the house officers in our hospitals, but there are a lot of challenges lately, and you have to keep this in mind as well. We're pumping out so many doctors in this country, and now we are obligated to taking not just our local students, but also those returning from Barbados and Jamaica who are locals. So we are faced with as many as 350 applicants looking for jobs at the house officer level. So it might be a good idea for you to look at other options, not in Trinidad, but out of Trinidad, if you so desire. So other options to get jobs in private institutions exist as well. So we have the private nursing homes, or you can piggyback on a doctor in a private practice, and that also helps. So if you want to specialize, you get in a particular department. Or as I said, you just go abroad. Now, in a profile, I will tell you, kind of twisted, but there are 4 qualities I think that you need to be a good doctor for. And this is important if you're choosing your career as a doctor. One is relationships. No, not marriage. You need to like people. You need to love people. You need to love what you're doing. You want to help them. You have to help them with a good heart. Not the fact that you're seeing a dollar sign, okay? It's a powerful bond that you have to develop with your patients. You need to empathize, you need to understand, you need to put yourself in their place, and you need to see how they feel, and that's what makes you a good doctor. Accountability. You have to keep up with the latest evidence-based medicines in your practice. Everybody has access to Dr. Google, so they come to the office with information, so you have to be on top of things to know how to advise your patients. So you have to know the new treatment options available and how you can point your patients in the right direction. You don't have to hug your patients because you want to get them to stay with you. You identify their problem. If you can't manage them, you find somebody who can manage them, and you point them in the right direction. You have to be passionate about what you do. You have to have that passion. The need to help people should always be there. Don't ever lose that need. The challenge will be managing a difficult pregnancy, for example, or a difficult patient. It's a challenge. I love challenges, so I don't have a problem. I manage my patients, and I love the outcome at the end of the day. Hearing a newborn baby cry, I have been hearing for 20 plus years, and the first baby I delivered and the last baby I delivered brings me the same amount of joy that it did the first time. And if I ever lose that passion, then I'll retire. I don't think I'm losing it again. You have to believe in yourself and your ideas. Years ago, when I was back at Mount Hope Hospital, I started working there many years ago, and I had great passion. I wanted to help everybody. Young intern, young house officer, in hospital, all the backup facilities. But it was a lot of patients. The workload, the overload was just a lot. I had to be rushing. I wanted to spend time with patients. I wanted to be there. I wanted to have that one-on-one, but it became impossible after fighting through for 11 years I was there. And it was just so difficult for me to be trying to advise, trying to supervise, trying to make sure, and I'm sorry, I'm a perfectionist. I have to be everywhere at the same time to make sure nothing goes wrong. So it just became too much for me, and I couldn't give my patients my all. So my decision was not exactly what I wanted to do, but I decided to leave the hospital at that point, which was in 2002, create my own space. And if I wanted to spend 5 minutes, if I wanted to spend 1 hour with my patient, that was my time. So I could then do what I needed to do, depending on the needs of my patients. So, even though I was addicted to the hospital because I like excitement, I had to leave. I left cold turkey. I didn't hold on to the hospital. And I didn't hold on to the private practice at the same time because I thought I would be doing an injustice to my patients. Some people do it, and I realized one day you could be called to hospital. You're in your practice making money, yeah? You're seeing your patients, but then the patients are the ones who would suffer. And we saw this recently when we heard about the tragic Cotto case, you all would remember, where a baby died as a result of a cut to the head at the hospital while a cesarean section was being done at Mount Hope Women's Hospital. A commission of inquiry was held for that, but not being present to assist the junior officers when a senior is not present is a sad thing. You can't serve two masters, and I realized that. So I decided to do what I had to do. So you have to decide what you want to do. So I believed in myself. I struck out, not knowing how to run an office. It's a business. But I knew what I wanted. I knew how to educate and how to treat my patients, and that's where I headed. So you have to love your job. You have to be satisfied. Now, somebody asked me in a letter when they wrote to me to ask me what kind of salary or expected salaries you would expect to get in a specialty like mine. Now, there are quoted figures that are sent from the medical board where they suggest that a doctor can charge between $400 to $600 as a specialty. So assuming you see about 10 patients per day in an office, you're looking at about $4,000, $5,000 a day, right? Now remember, you have overhead, you have taxes, you have insurances, and you have everything else to consider. You're making about $20,000, this is $50 per week. This is average, it may be more, it may be less. And you could work out the other figures from that. But I want you to keep one thing in mind. There's something we pay called MPS, which is Medical Protection Society. We pay an insurance. And the insurance is for coverage for us in case of litigation. The highest field that we have to pay for is obstetrics and gynecology. This is the highest risk field. So I pay a total of $350,000 a year. That is not money that you can get back. So that's money that is paid for insurance. You have to make that back before you could start saying, I'm making a profit. I'm not turning you off. I'm just saying you have to be passionate. You have to love what you do. And you have to do it with a vengeance and a love so that you can achieve what you want at the end of the day. So physicians ranking by overall career satisfaction, dermatology seems to be on the top of the list, and I think psychiatry is going to come catching up with us sooner or later because a lot of people are kind of going mad with everything that's going on in the country. Okay, it's mostly stress related. We really, seriously speaking, have a high incidence of depressed people in this world. So psychiatry and psychology is going to be at the top of the list and not what you all may be expecting. I'm going to just skip through these before I run into my closing. I don't want to bore you all too much. Some of the basic skills I think needed to become a doctor, as I went through before, I'm just summarizing the communication and people skills so that you could explain your illnesses and procedures. And those of you who have been to doctors, I'm sure would agree, what you want for yourself, you would want your doctor to express for you. Data analysis skills, you have to be able to interpret your lab tests and other tests and be able to be holistic in your treatment and management so you can be able to make a proper diagnosis early o'clock when a patient is speaking to you. So you have to assess your problem and then you have to work under pressure. I've seen doctors working under pressure but not really working because they end up on the floor and the nurse have to take over management. So you have to be able to work under pressure. Now, sometimes the most exhilarating feeling in the world, well for me, is that I've helped to save a life. Nobody could take that away from me. That is my feeling. And yes, money is important, we have to live, but feeling good about yourself is also important. And the self-fulfillment and satisfaction that you get, nobody could take that away from you. Before I close, I just want to share two incidences that I remembered that stood out in my mind with two of my patients. And this is what makes my job worthwhile. And it's the simple things that matter. One patient I remember came to me in my office, and a lady had a problem with related gynecological problems. And she'd been to many doctors before, and I suggested to her that she have a hysterectomy done. She hesitated, but the time that I took to explain to her the benefits is what made the difference. Not somebody saying you need a hysterectomy. She did it. That patient came back to me for follow-up a month after, well, after in between. And as she walked into the room, I'd never experienced this before, she went down on the floor and she kissed my feet. She literally kissed my feet. I had never had anybody do that to me before. And that alone brought out the emotion and the joy and the appreciation of knowing that somebody cares. And I made a difference to that woman's life and to all her family members. And she couldn't stop thanking me. That's all I needed. I didn't need payment. That was payment enough. Another incident I would tell you, I would share with you before I start hearing, is just about 2 weeks ago, and this is what people remember you and you don't even know, and this is because I was doing things naturally and normally as I would as a normal human being, but didn't pay attention. A new patient came to me a couple of weeks ago in the office, and she told me she was hunting me down for a number of years, and she knew me, but I didn't remember her. And what she said to me at that point, in 1998, she met me at the Mount Hope Women's Hospital, and she said she was in the hospital, lying on a bed, in pain. She had fibroids and she was miscarrying her pregnancy. I walked into the room, I didn't remember, she told me. I walked into the room, I was a registrar with my team of doctors. We came into the room, we explained what was happening. Everybody else left the room apparently. I stayed behind because I saw what was going on and the emotion she was going through. Apparently I sat next to her bed with her. I put my hand on her shoulder, so she tells me because that's what she remembers. I didn't remember because it's how I treat everybody, but it made an impression to her. And she said that touch that I put on her shoulder made her feel better. It was what she described, the touch of an angel. And to me, it was just me being me, because this is what I love. And she said she hunted me down from 1998 until she found me 2 weeks ago. And that's what made a difference to me in my career. That's what you should be doing if you have to make such a decision. So with all the Facebook and the WhatsApp and the Messenger and the social media that we have available now, I would say to you that you cannot be non-available for your patients. You must always be available for your patients. You must always make a difference in the lives of someone, and that is what is going to make your job worthwhile. So in ending, I say, not support a lawyer and become a doctor. We're going to change that. We're going to become a doctor and support humanity. Thank you.
Morning, thanks for the presentation. I just want to know, you said that sometimes students apply and they are deferred. What would you advise students to do in the meanwhile if they did apply and they are deferred for 1 or 2 years? What would you advise during that period of time?
Okay. You have many options. It depends on your child and what they want to do. There are some children who would prefer to be deferred and have a year break because they've been studying all their life, and some people benefit from that. I know my son did. When he was deferred, I did not push for him to go straight in, so he had a break and now he's full into medical school. If you don't want to have that break, you have to have a backup plan. So you apply to Jamaica. If you don't want to go out of the West Indies, you can apply to Barbados. It's a little easier to get into Jamaica. The competition is not as rough as it is in Trinidad. So you have to have that, and also maybe foreign options. So you can, if it is that you're set on having medical science or medical. Or the other option, if you don't get the grades that you want and you want to do a job in between, you can do N1s in the University of the West Indies. And the N1s is a stepping stone to get into medical school.
Thank you. Any more questions? One more.
Thank you. A question. As there are so many potential doctors coming into the market, when you do your internship, does it qualify to do internships with private doctors who are specialized in the same field you want to in? Does that qualify at that time? Or does it need to be with more public-related hospitals?
When you qualify with your MBBS, which is after you have internship, you qualify with your MBBS, you have 2 years internship you have to do in this country. After that becomes a problem where you become a house officer. Your options are if you can get a job in the hospital in Trinidad to specialize in a degree that's offered here, or you apply to a foreign country to whatever specialty that you desire to do.
And in private clinics, does that qualify or not?
Okay, so that's being looked at the medical board at this point in time, where the specialist degree can be extended out into the nursing home settings. So a doctor, a consultant who's been working for a number of years can take students under their wings and train them in a private nursing home, and that can be used as well as your supplemental for getting a postgraduate degree, but it's not yet approved. The Minister of Health is the one that has to get that done.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.